Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer, the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness, the new two-player battle box from Games Workshop, and the kickoff of 2nd edition Horus Heresy. You guys probably remember I played tons of 1st edition Horus Heresy, had the Brother versus Brother playlist, painted a giant Alpha Legion army, and played through pretty much all of the kind of like expansions for that game. We even ran a Horus Heresy Weekender here at the Lords of War weekend, and I was super pumped and super excited that I was invited to go to the Horus Heresy Weekend back in May. It was a great time. I got to paint up this box set as the Raven Guard, and I'm going to be kicking off and playing a big campaign of Horus Heresy. This was one of my favorite. Like, they did it just kind of cuz games from Forge World back in the day, and now that it's in the main studio, it is supported by this box set, which is a 2,000 point Space Marine Legion army in a box. And I want to do this sort of review in two parts. Take a look at the box set, the components. I painted the whole contents of this box already, and I have another one here for you guys to check out and see like the sort of like bits and pieces on it. I'm sure there's gonna be tons of stuff like this today, but I did feel like if I just reviewed the rulebook and did like a standard GMG review, it wouldn't be doing this box justice because there's a lot of stuff in here, and I do have some thoughts about it, having built and painted it in like 3 weeks to go off and put in the case there at the Warhammer World, which is great. And some advice and stuff too to go along with it. So let's take a look at what comes in the box, and there'll be a whole separate video. You can go up here in the cards, check it out on the rulebook, the rules and stuff, and the actual gameplay changes and stuff that I've noticed from playing the games I've played. So let's have a look at what comes in here and yeah, dive into this giant pile of sprues. So it is all laid out. Warhammer, the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness, the huge pile of frames that come in this box, and all the other fun gizmos too, such as the, they do this now, the liner. It's basically to separate the sprues from the book. You can see those big dents right there. And it's got the lovely painted up new releases that we can probably expect. Things like the Tartaros, the Contemptor on its own, which does have an assault cannon, which is an interesting thing, and I'll mention something about that in a minute. The Cataphractis, which do come in this box, the Mark 6s, the Mark 4s, sorry, no, those are all Mark 6s rather. The Praetor and Chaplain Consul, the Tartarus Terminators, which of course aren't in this box, the Sycaran Battle Tank, Kratos Heavy Assault Tank, and Demos Pattern Rhino, which have all been previewed since the weekend. And it's funny because I actually pulled out, I had an unopened Betrayal at Calth, which is kind of the OG, oh, it's still heavy, OG starter set to kind of compare the contents. Because you got, what is it, 30 Marines, 5 Terminators of Dread, and the 2 characters in this box set. And it was a great value when it came out. This one's bananas. So you get 10 Cataphractic Terminators. These are the same ones that came in the Betrayal at Calth box, so if you're interested in checking the frames out, they're already available, they're already for sale. All Lightning Claw options, Chain Fist options, Power Fists, Combi Bolters, Heavy Flamer, and the Grenade Harness are all in here. Then you get, like, fully half the frames in this box are the Spartan. And if you watch the Let's Play today, you'll be able to see the actual Spartan in action. And my Raven Guard all painted up. They're still on their way back here from England, so they're not, I couldn't shoot them today. But this is a ginormous box, which this huge, like, 350 point tank is most of it. And there's a couple of interesting things here, because I saw these, and I didn't think they were the resin ones. I knew this was new. I didn't think this was the resin Sycaran. I pulled my Alpha Legion Sycaran out, and I had a suspicion this was going to be plastic before we went to the Weekender. Same with this right here. I noticed this actually because of the vehicle accessory frame, because the ram bar was on here, and I was like, oh, I think maybe they're making a plastic Rhino. And then I saw the top hatches for the twin bolters, and I was like, oh, definitely they're making a twin Rhino. But I did notice something with the Spartan, and you can see here the body frames, the way it goes together. A lot, if you've ever built a resin Spartan, which I have for my Alpha Legion, this is a lot more fun than building the resin one was. This frame, which is the, you can see it's a fully separate frame. You have the vehicle accessory frame, which comes with all 3 of these tanks, it looks like, too. This frame right here, which is the las cannon arrays for the Spartan, doesn't say Spartan on it. It says Land Raider. And what's interesting is you get some leftover pieces on this frame right here. See these 2 backings? Well, they let you make a twin las cannon instead of a quad las cannon array. And that means that this frame is designed for a Land Raider Proteus. So I think I might have sneaky found out a future release that hasn't been announced yet. If they're doing a Proteus, this frame could be packed with it, and you can make twin las cannons instead of full las cannons. So the other option is, I mean, there's no twin las cannons on Predators. Most of the sponsons for all the rest of these are all single weapons. So my suspicion is these two pieces right here, which you don't actually use these when you build the Spartan assault tank, are so that this can make a Land Raider Proteus, which I think is very cool. So it's fun if you snoop around frames like this, you can usually find a bunch of extra stuff. You can see the combi weapon stuff. There's Volkite chargers. There's a heavy flamer option, multi-melt option, melt-a-gun option, or just the usual twin bolters. And then a really neat Mark II helmet for the gunner, which I think is kind of clever. We got Mark III and Mark IV. And there is no Mark V because it's a stopgap, and now we have Mark VI. I like the fact that there's Mark II Crusade armor there. And you can tell it's Mark II because it has the full visor. It's not separate eyepieces. There's a visor that goes all the way across, and I think that's kind of rad. So yeah, neat stuff to discover on the frame. Even the chest plate there is a Mark II chest plate. No eagles, no straps. Then we've got the two Praetors, and I've kind of I converted my new Praetors, my Blood Angels, out of this, so you'll forgive there's a couple pieces missing, but what's cool, I will point this out for both of them. They have Mark VI heads, or the bear heads. So for my Raven Guard, I gave them both the beaky helmets, because it's kind of iconic. And what's also kind of interesting is if you look at the back of their armor, they have the exact same back piece. So different consoles, look at that, it's identical. They're an identical Artificer armor, with like the weird back piece. There's a lot of similarities. You could probably swap, if you're adventurous, you could probably swap some of these bits and make some cool conversions with it. And then this big stack here is the 40 Mark VI Marines, and their 4 accompanying frames of like accessories. So it's neat because I have some like I have some like problems building Space Marines that aren't posable. When they have like slotting pegs and they're not super posable, I get bored and I don't like making them. These Marines, although the torsos are attached, the rest is all interchangeable and fully posable. And once I built one of these frames, I could build them in my sleep. It also has that nice thing where if you look at it, the Marines are all subdivided. I didn't need the instructions after the first frame because that square right there is one Marine, that square is one Marine, that square is one Marine, that square is one Marine, down here is one Marine, and that's just backpacks and stuff. There is kind of a fiddly thing with the studded shoulder pad. It's broken in half. And what I do is I just clipped all these out first, glued them and let them set so that while I was building the actual Marines, the pads were drying. If you use a nice gap filling glue, there isn't really a line. I will say that I'm not super sure why it's in 2 pieces. I'm betting it's so that you didn't get a mold line across the studs, because all of my old studded shoulder pads, there's always, like, no matter how you cast them on an angle, the undercuts of the studs themselves make some of the studs kind of flat. This way, I'm betting they were able to make them like perfect. And have the molding process allow for the rounded kind of undercut studs to not look weird or flat or have a mold line across them. But they were super fun to build, real easy. The chain bayonets, which are very like desirable in the game, come right on the frame. And then the regular bayonets, which maybe there's like something for them in the future, are on this frame here. You get your power fist, your lightning claw, your power sword, your plasma pistol, all your sergeant heads, your whatchamacallit, this thing, the Vexilla and the Vox, all in this frame. And you get 4 of these. You get 1 for each of the 10 squads, or 4 squads that come in here, for every 10 guys. That was, I'm excited the support weapon stuff is already announced, because my suspicion was, by the way the bolters were all mounted, all the bolters are hands off, so all of these arms will just support the special weapons. And we saw them at the Weekender painted up in the display cabinets. It looks like it's just, you can use the exact same Marines and have the arms come off. If you look at even the Mark IVs, you could probably get away with, because you just need to take the hand off at the wrist, and they'd probably fit too. The Mark IVs and Mark IIIs, they'll have that gripping hand for the bolters, so they're clearly designed with the Mark VIs in mind. We got that sweet, sweet Dreadnought. Now, it weirdly doesn't come with the assault cannon, which was the original kit, which is in the Calth box there, had the multi-melt and assault cannon options. It has what's called in the rule books here, Gravis everything. So Gravis Melta-Cannon, Gravis Las Cannons, Gravis Autocannons, and Gravis Heavy Bolter. But no assault cannon. So I'm thinking the assault cannon's either on another frame that maybe has all the close assault stuff, because you get 1 power fist in here, and obviously everything can be doubled down. So you could do double las cannons, you could do double, like all the well, I mean, in the rules in here, either arm can be swapped for all the weapons. So you can make like a gunboat one, or you can make a melee variant. And there's only the one sort of close combat weapon option, the Power Fist option in here. But you do get all of the hand options too. So like the built-in caliver, bolter, heavy flamer, plasma blaster, you can make them all with the bits in this box. I'm trying to find out where they are. The really nice thing about it is it's fully posable. So the knees, feet, and hips are all articulated. So you can really pose it however you want. Of course, the one doing the Triple H pose, the original one in the Horus Heresy Betrayal at Calth box was nice. But this one's a vast improvement. He was relatively fun to build. Two boxes. And I did like the little detail that if I wanted to, I can give the Power Fist claws. I gave mine claws, obviously, because it's a raven. Or you can give it flat fingers, too. I don't think there's any actual difference except for the cosmetics. But I liked that was an option. Basically, all the fingers are available twice, so you can give it like a grippy hand that's clawed or not. And then, yeah, so there's all the plasma bits right there. So there's all the little built-in, the palm of the hand guns that go into that. And so you get bases for that, bases for all these guys. There was all the art for the Praetors have them on 40s. So I believe on this box, they're on 40. Yeah, you can see it's on a 40 mil, not on a 32 mil. The instructions in here, how do you put them on a 32 mil? It comes with 40 mils. So if there's any confusion about that, don't worry, because the 40 mils are in the bag, and it's pictured on a 40 mil, but the instruction booklet is just obviously done with CAD stuff, so you can see here it's put on a 32, and it's dinky small on a 32. He fills with the 40 way better. I will say I almost screwed this up. I almost threw out the instructions after I built everything. Don't, because until the Libers, Astartes, and Hereticus come out, all your rules are in here. So this is another one kind of like the Necromunda box set, where the rules for your guys are in this little booklet, along with even all the weapon rules and special rules. So the models in this box have rules, and then the weapons for those models are also in here, the armory, and even some of the special stuff. So obviously those levers are coming out hot in the heels, but to use what's in this box, or even any of the contemporary Horus Heresy stuff like the Mark IV and Mark III Marines, all the Cataphractis are already available, and all those Praetors, you're going to want to have this kicking around until the levers come out, because we won't have rules otherwise. You get classic templates. This probably wouldn't matter to anybody except for me, but the fact that it's kind of an old school game, and we'll talk about that in the rulebook review, and it came with red whippy sticks, made me like unreasonably happy. There's no reason to put them in here, but the fact that it came with old blast templates and red whippy sticks, I don't know. And a scatter die, right? It came with all the dice and a scatter die. This little pile of stuff made me unreasonably happy for like kind of undefinable reasons, but mostly because of the fact that yeah, I mean, this was designed in 1995, right? Like, it's an old school game. It's played in old school ways with a older sort of core rule set that's been tweaked and enhanced. And the fact that it comes with kind of old gear, it just kind of pleased me. And then last but not least, you're gonna get your rulebook, which we'll talk about in a separate review. And you get some transfers for the fists and for the the Sons of Horus. And what's nice is you do get enough, it looks like, to do almost the whole thing. So you get your Cataphractis for 10 Cataphractis. You get, it looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 30 shoulder pads, and then 30 of the regular guys too. So you actually don't quite get enough to do all 40 Tactical Marines, but you get close to enough to do all 40 Tactical Marines. And yeah, so you do 30 and 30 of each on one of these things, and you get vehicle icons and stuff as well. So it's a pretty well thought out. It does need 10 more of each to do all the Tactical Marines. I guess they just couldn't quite fit it on here. And you can't really pillage the Terminator ones either, but it's nice that they're on here and that you have, I mean, there's a couple you could take off the vehicles and stuff as well if you want to try and finish them off, but nice that they did transfers for the stuff pictured in the box. And that's kind of it. So, I mean, the first time Horus Heresy came out sort of as a mass market game was when this came out. So prior to this, if you're playing the Horus Heresy games, you're playing with all resin miniatures, only available from Forge World, and it was like the most indie band of like, well, you know, I play 40k, but you've probably never heard of the version of 40k I play. This kind of opened the door, and a lot of people played Horus Heresy as it wound down its first edition, because of the plastics in this box. It was maybe a 1,500 point army in that box. Not even, probably maybe, what, 30 Tactical Marines, 2 characters, so let's say 300 plus 300 plus 100 for upgrades, that's 700. Some Terminators for 1,000 and a Dread, like 1,200 points maybe? This is 2,000 points. Easy 2,000 points. Even without support weapons, even with everything else, you get like 600 points tactical marines. You've got 600 points of terminators. You've got so that's 1,200 right there. You got a 350 point tank, 400 point tank with stuff. So yeah, you know, 1,600 and then, or 1,800, and then you got this guy right here, which is, or the two characters, another, you know, 300. And then you've got the Dreddy for another 200 right there. So like you're well on your way to playing a full-size game, which is considered 3,000 points for this, but 2,000 points is still a comfortable size game, just out of what comes in this box. And the fact that it can be combined into a single force, obviously, because they're not Legion-specific marked, makes this, you know, if you were going to pick a first product to launch for a game, to start the game from scratch, having everything everyone needs forever, as far as like troop choices and compulsory troops and leaders and stuff in one go, you got some cool vehicles to try out. This is a very well designed box. I mean, some of the most beloved miniatures of all time, the RTB01 Beaky box, redesigned for, you know, the 21st century, where you have these incredible, you know, throwbacks like the chain bayonets. Just the poses are really dynamic. A million people have done like the sort of like the walk through this stuff, but they have motion, you know what I mean? And then the great new characters and the big giant tank too, which is again full, like you get a centerpiece mini in here, which is the biggest tank basically that isn't a super heavy, that isn't like a, you know, a Mastodon or something insane like that, or a Malkador, right in the box. I'm pretty excited. I had a ton of fun building it. I normally hate repetitive building of Space Marines. I did not hate building these. It was a lot of fun to like just, I mean, you don't have to look at the instructions after the first few, and having that level of like intuitiveness and comfort in the design felt really, really good. And then just the fact that you can make them different by swapping arms and stuff made it so that I didn't have 40 of like the same kind of pose of guy. Really well designed and excited to be in plastic. I think it's gonna be really accessible to people. And of course, we've seen the price point now for this, which I didn't know obviously when I was building it for the first time. And keeping it in that sub 300, I think US dollar range. I'm not sure what's gonna be Canadian dollars yet, but they've announced sort of the sub $300 price point. Yeah, that was like, you're paying $100 US a tactical squad when this game first came out. So that was going to be your 3 tactical squads out of 4 in this box set when this stuff was all resin, when the game first launched. So I'm excited about just the value and the fact that it's going to make this game accessible, so people can try out a slowed down, sort of more elegant 40K for the ages.
And so there you go, a look at the box contents for Warhammer, the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness, and sort of my thoughts after having built and painted a box, and an overview of what comes in there and on the sprues. So hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you for more Warhammer, the Horus Heresy today. You can watch the Let's Play and the rulebook review, and then more coming up over the next 2 weeks. So big thanks for watching. Tux out Mash. Up we're getting. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.